Welcome to the Magical Salon, where two regular people, Amanda and James, explore mystical ideas and big questions. From books to pop culture, if it's a doorway to something deeper, we're probably into it. We're not experts, and maybe you aren't either, but that's kind of the point. Welcome back to the Magical Salon. I'm your wearer, Amanda, and I'm joined by...
your magician, James.
Well, welcome, James. Welcome to the podcast. On this episode, we're going to be covering talismans. What are they and what can they be? So I guess to start, we should probably define what it is and what purposes they may serve in a magical journey.
Sure thing. So this week, magical talismans.
I was extremely excited. Why so jubilant?
I'm excited to talk about something a bit more magical specific, but also like real practical magic, because in my mind, talismans are pretty cool because anything can be a talisman basically, and they're very common throughout all of human history. It's almost like a lucky charm basically. Like that's how in my head I can kind of envision a talisman. So maybe you have a lucky pair of underwear, or you have a lucky tie, or you've got a lucky rock that you got, or a lucky baseball or whatever. Like that's a talisman to me. And they're just very prevalent. And I think they're just interesting in that respect because of how prolific they are, and you're just blind to them.
Yeah, so when I was looking up what is a talisman, so there's a distinction between a talisman and an amulet, but I feel like for amulet, I only really see that being referenced in like fantasy books, like, ooh, I've got the amulet, the eye of something, you know, like that's what they do. But in real life, I don't really encounter the use of the word amulet. But the distinction is that a talisman is supposed to give the wearer good fortune, whereas an amulet is specifically for protection. So like a lucky underpants, Captain Underpants, that would be a true talisman rather than an amulet, because it's not protecting you. It's supposed to be lucky, which is good fortune, right?
Yeah. Okay. So then to help ground us, for definition, I'm going to refer to Liber Nolen Psychonaut, which we've referred to in previous episodes for a definition, just because it's a magical text. It's intended to be a magical chaos magic, like grimoire maybe. So it seems prudent to use the explanation or description from here, at least as our baseline. So this was written by Peter Carroll, who is kind of frightening looking. So just note that. He said, talismans are usually the recipient of some simple charge that evokes strength, courage, health, virility, no mind, sleep, or some other emotion or state of power in its possessor when you concentrate upon it. So that's his definition. It doesn't have to be a lucky thing. It's just a physical object that you're able to connect to draw power or hope, strength from this thing. It's kind of like almost like, yeah, like a power up in video games or in movies. Like, oh, I've got the Amulet of Kings, or they're similar, right? We can just call talismans amulets for the sake of this discussion. It's a material object imbued with significance to you, the wearer, as a person.
Yeah, so I think I had it a little bit wrong because I think most people do conflate the true terms, because I'm looking at this and it says, so basically amulets are more passive. It's a passive protection, but it's still more geared towards protection, whereas a talisman is more magical because you imbue it and then you wear it. So it's like a two-step process for additional, but it has like more different varieties of things that it can do.
I think we're basically talking about the same thing, truthfully. And I mean, ultimately, and this guy in the same book also describes amulets right underneath talismans. And he says amulets are objects containing a portion of the etheric and life force with a particular task to perform, and are semi-sentient, which that's a little bit different to me, honestly. Semi-sentient. But in any case, he basically says talismans and amulets, Peter Carroll, still reading from Liber Nolen Psychonaut. He basically says any sort of material base is a spirit trap in some way, but some substances, notably crystals, absorb etheric imprints very readily. So I think what's interesting here, anything that's a material item can be a talisman, but according to him, certain objects are easier to charge or imbue with emotion and meaning, which I guess makes sense because it's like, it's probably, maybe I could make my like shower razor a talisman, but that's going to be a lot harder for me to mentally attach significant meaning to versus a cross that you got from your grandmother or something. Like those, like that's like talisman to me, right? If you wear a cross every day and it's connecting you to your deity or your higher power, or it's a reminder of you, of your higher power or your ancestors, that is a talisman. And people wear them all the time. Wouldn't a wedding ring, which we're wearing right now, I think would be considered a talisman. It's a permanent material reminder. And I think that's partly why the material that it's made of is significant, i.e. a real diamond, or, ooh, this is a super duper fancy crystal as a talisman. It's like in movies and literature, the talismans are always like really rare. It's pure gold. That's just some background on like the base of talismans, at least. We've kind of leveled that off.
I think the most widely known talisman, though, is the evil eye.
That's a talisman?
So it's two different things, actually. So the evil eye is the talisman, but the evil eye is also what you're preventing with the talisman. So like the evil eye is a widespread belief that a malevolent or unintentional glare can cause sickness, misfortune, or harm to people, animals, or property. So you use the evil eye to basically reflect the negative energy back to the source, right? So it would be kind of like having a mirror and be like, ha, got him.
I like to think of it in terms of magic then. It's kind of like a force field, which you see portrayed in movies, or like Independence Day, there's like a force field around the alien spaceship. That's kind of, in my mind, what a talisman is. It's an object that you wear as a form of protection. Maybe it's not going to protect you from bullets. It's not like that kind of protection, but it's psychic protection, or it's protection from demons or something. It's protection from evil, untoward influences. And yeah, that's kind of an interesting.
Well, two things. I mean, it doesn't seem too different then. You know, like when people are superstitious and they're like, oh, well, I've got to throw salt over my shoulder. That seems to be the same thing. I don't know. It's a similar impulse, I guess, because why not do whatever you can to prevent as much harm as possible? And I also, with the evil eye, one of my friends back in the day gave me a bracelet, an evil eye bracelet, and you were supposed to wear it until it fell off. And when it fell off, usually you don't notice, right? But apparently when it falls off, that's because it like prevented something from getting you in some way, which I think is interesting.
Well, I mean, the evil eye specifically, isn't that you mentioned it's an evil glare, or it's like a curse, I think, technically. You're like shooting a mental dagger or mental assault. No,
because, well, yes and no. I mean, it's kind of twofold. It could be intentional, but apparently even unconscious. So like if you're really jealous of someone and you like look over them at them, you could still kind of unintentionally cause something bad to happen to them, is sort of like the idea behind it. I mean, I'm not like an expert or anything, but yeah, I mean, I think it's against curses, jealousy, misfortune, just like all this stuff.
The thing that I think is cool then, so a talisman to me is, I think they're cool. I think the idea of them is cool. And like, I wear this thing, which is a magical crystal, allegedly, if you read about it online, moldavite. It's supposed to be from some meteorite and stuff. But anyways, I think I even saw that it's from like ancient Egypt. They would also like revere this crystal. I don't know. It gets weird. But regardless, I like the idea of them because it's just like a thing you can wear as part of your daily routine. But by putting it on, you're mentally like thinking about a specific thing as well. It's a physical reminder of something unseen. And that's what I think is cool. And additionally, if I would you could wear different jewelry, for instance. Well, you could wear jewelry, i.e. talismans, for specific purposes. So maybe you're going to do a public speech. So you want a talisman for confidence versus you're going to be playing a sporting event, you want a talisman for ferocity or intensity or something. You can pick and choose. And that's why it's cool. Different objects can have their own kind of niche purpose.
It's kind of like in video games where it's like, oh, do you want your character to be really fast? Do you want them to be really strong? Do you want to build up their XP in this way? It's like a similar idea. I mean, I don't have like different rings for different occasions or anything, but I do still consider like putting all my rings on my fingers. I call it like suiting up because it's kind of like, and even if it is like a placebo mental thing, there's power in that. There is power in actual placebos too.
Well, what is a placebo? At the end of the day, the placebo is basically just acknowledging that what you believe as a human is powerful. Regardless of medicine, if you believe drinking dirty water will cure you, sometimes it will, right? That's the placebo. But that's really just magic, basically. Placebo is almost the science word for, I don't know, humans can do some weird stuff sometimes if they believe in it. Is that not magic? It's just science explaining it away with a different term.
Yeah, I mean, it's the power of belief and thought. But the thing with the placebos, you don't know usually that it is a placebo. So it's because most people can't dredge up that much belief in something unless they have some sort of evidence to go behind it, you know? So that's partly why they're like, oh, I think it's, you know, this drug that might help me, but it's actually just like a placebo of some kind.
Yeah, but think about it this way. If it's really a talisman in my mind is some object for you to mentally get to a specific headspace, maybe is a better way. So like prayer beads, crosses, rosaries. If you view that as a talisman, people are constantly doing the prayer beads or holding the cross or touching a thing on their body as a reminder. Or, oh my God, there's bad turbulence on this plane. I'm going to like hold my lucky rock because I'm shitting bricks right now, but I'm gonna like hold this because this is my safety rock or whatever, and I'm afraid of flying, for instance. That is powerful for a human to just have an outlet almost to connect with the intangible around you, I guess. And I like the idea of them being, I think the interesting thing is they have to be charged. They have to be imbued with energy ahead of time. It's not something that just has the energy necessarily. You have to concentrate on the object to give it energy and therefore make it a talisman. I don't think you can really just buy a talisman. I think that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could buy something that if you're very specific and particular about what you bought, and that would be sort of the process of making it the right thing. But I do think you would still need to forge some kind of a connection with it after getting it. Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm not saying you can't buy it. Like maybe you're not going to make a crystal. You have to buy it. But you don't just...
Why not? Just get some heat, some pressure.
Okay.
Just get in the backyard, make a rock.
I just mean that a talisman, there's effort required on the user of the talisman. You can't just buy a rock and then that is now your talisman. Like you have to do mentally, in my mind, you have to commit to it being a talisman for a specific purpose. Maybe, or you have to imbue it with meaning beyond just I bought a rock. I don't know.
So you have your Moldavite talisman. Do you have any other talismans? And do you use the Moldavite like just for anything, or does it have a specific purpose?
Well, the thing with Moldavite is it has like weird new age people talk about it where it's like you can connect to aliens and like source. It's supposed to be a very high frequency interdimensional because it came from outer space. So it's like it can be a doorway or a portal to alien intelligence or something, I guess. I don't know.
So have you heard any whispering since you got it?
No, I can't say that I have, but...
Although, I mean, if you think about it, you've had that for like a year.
Yeah.
People did go up into space. Maybe those things are connected.
It's supposed to like be big for like spiritual advancement or elevating your consciousness quickly because it's supposed to be a high frequency object that has a lot of energy stored within it, which I do want to get to that point because it kind of sounds stupid when you're like, okay, this is my rock, it's a talisman. Or crystal is a better word because that's what people typically view as a talisman, is it's a crystal, because for whatever reason it's good at harnessing energy, according to Peter Carroll, and I've seen that in other places as well. Isn't that though then the crystal part, okay, charging up, aren't phones talismans then basically? They get charged up. You charge the phone battery. A crystal, if I have a crystal and I say it's charged up, you would be like, that's crazy. It's a rock. But isn't a phone the same thing? Like if you don't charge up a phone, it's just a brick with some glass. It's useless unless it's charged up.
I don't think that's a very good example because the phone, yes, you charge it, but you don't imbue it with any properties in the same way. It just has its own sets of properties. I think it's more akin to when you're going out and you're hiking, because we do that a lot, and you sit on a rock to look at the view, and then you notice, oh, this rock is like, it's actually really warm underneath me. That's because the rock is absorbing the energy from the sun, right? It's charging up in a way. I feel like it's more akin to that. Like you can charge it in that way. Like they get actual heat, which is weird. How are they obtaining heat?
We need to get off that topic. We might be, no, it's just getting sunlight. It's just, yeah, it's warm. That's how it's getting heat though. It's getting heat because it's getting blasted by the sun. Like that's not really magic, is it?
Isn't it though? Because it's saying that they're excellent at absorbing and retaining heat from the sun or fire. It allows them to absorb significant energy, and they also can hold heat for long periods of time. Is that not just proving my point that it does charge up in a way though? Yeah, it holds energy.
Well, I guess my point for the phone was people can acknowledge a phone has energy. I'm trying to say it's not that crazy when you think about it. Like a phone is a brick, but when it has energy stored up, it can do something. Exactly like the idea of a talisman. It's not that different. It's just not a phone, so it's foreign to us. But 500 years ago, a phone, they'd be like, what the hell? That's a magical talisman. You have this little device that you can charge up and then it can do some really cool things or summon answers to anything in the world instantly. That's like a magical object, right? That's what and it's like, obviously the talismans we're talking about aren't used in the same way. It's for protection or strength or courage, but it's an object that can do something for you by storing charge. And I think that's similar in that regard.
So 2 questions. Can books be talismans? And how do you actually make something into a talisman? Is there a specific process? Like when you got your Moldavite necklace, did you do anything to it to make it into a talisman? Or did you just sort of start wearing it and that like just you kind of made a mental connection with it and then that was all that you really needed? Or did you do a specific kind of ceremony?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really do any specific ceremony. It was more just like, I mean, I guess buying it, it's expensive. So for that reason alone, it's pretty notable. Like it was a big investment or commitment on my part to like finally buy it. But then also we got it in kind of a cool place on a trip. So then that made it different than just buying it at like a local store or just ordering it on Amazon. I got it in person. I don't know. There's different things that made that experience a little bit more impactful, I guess.
Well, and I also at that same shop got a talisman of my own, if you will, because so we were in BC in Canada, and so my necklace is the mountains, and then it has like a little green dot of jade, and the jade is sourced from the mountains that we were near. So, but the jade is apparently supposed to be good for heart health and energy. And since I have my COVID problems, I was like, oh, that will be a good use for me. That's why it's interesting. Because to your point of like at different times, you require different things.
And I just think the idea of it to me, it doesn't have to be a crystal. Wouldn't a lucky rabbit foot, isn't that a thing in movies and stuff? Like, oh, my lucky rabbit foot, or a 4-leaf clover could be a talisman, or these random things that you have that it means nothing to everybody else, right? If somebody walks into our house and sees this necklace or a rock in a drawer, it means nothing to them. Or that rusty baseball bat on the side, but that's your lucky bat. You hit the game-winning home run in college with that or whatever. It doesn't mean anything to others, but it can be very significant to you. But it kind of reminds me, did we like that Michael Pollan quote you were talking about?
He was just saying in regards to his like psychedelic experiences and other people's psychedelic experiences that perhaps what people interpret as a sacred psychedelic spiritual experience is really just some kind of significant experience. So you're equating the sacred with significance, which I think does make sense.
And that's a talisman, because the reason a talisman is significant, magical, and sacred is because you make it significant. It's not inherently significant until you make it significant, maybe is a way I'm trying to get to it. But then This also brings up the question then of wands. Is that a magical tool, or would that be a talisman then if you have a magic wand or a magic broom?
I think more of a tool, because they do actually have specific purposes and rituals, specifically the broom. Well, really both of them. Think about like car danglies. Like, I think those are like a version of, they're almost like a secular talisman. Like, a lot of people have car danglies dangling from their rear view mirror, the dice, or the hula hooping dancing lady that invokes paradise or something, I guess. You don't think that would count?
I mean, it might. I would think if it's a talisman, though, it would be a bit more like for protection and stuff, and not just like a silly hula hoop thing. I don't know if that's really...
But to your point, does it matter what it is?
No, but I feel like that's a different thing. Like a hula hoop, that's just, you just want to...
She's not hula hooping, it's hula dancing.
Okay, either way, it's more just like a fun, playful thing. In my mind, it would be like, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, it could just be imbued with that. So it's not...
Well, here's an actual other talisman. So dream catchers, right? So dream catchers they come from the Ojibwe nation, but they are protective charms, and they're supposed to filter nightmares. Like, it has a very specific purpose.
So fun fact, I actually got a dream catcher as a child. I think I still have it actually, but I'm not sure where it is. Maybe it's in the drawer next to our bed. I don't know. As a kid, it was cool to have a dream catcher because it was like, it will catch the bad dreams, or the bad dreams will go in that. So then it's mental comfort or reassurance for yourself. Like, I have this object, I'm going to go to sleep, but it's going to be good sleep because of this object will protect me. And it's cool because, again, you're playing with your own mind in some ways. You're kind of tricking your mind, your own psyche, maybe.
Yeah, it's the power of thought and belief, right? Which is what you were saying before. I mean, it's no different than even like I've been trying to create more of a sleep ritual. Like, I do certain things every night before I go to bed to make myself have a good sleep. Even like the sleepy girl mocktail where you're drinking, whatever. It's part of a ritual. It doesn't necessarily, are they adding additional elements? Are they doing something? Yeah, but there's also a power to the thought process, right? And the ritualized aspect.
Well, in some ways it seems, didn't you read something by Scott Cunningham, that Wicca guy? And he had a quote on talismans, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He basically was just explaining how many people have various different, I don't even know if he described them as talismans, but they'll have, certain items they always wear in either their day-to-day life or when they're doing ceremonies or rituals, whether it be rings or a special necklace or piece of clothing. And he isn't against those items, but was also just saying you need to be somewhat careful not to grow over reliant upon them, because then what if you lose it or you can't find it? Then are you no longer capable of doing the magic or the spell or even having the belief aspect, because there's something taking away from that. So they serve a purpose, but I feel like I try not to become too reliant on them because of that, because that was a good way of thinking about it in my mind.
I like that because, I mean, even taking it out of a spell context, if you have a lucky bat, but you forgot your bat at home, or you have lucky cleats, but you forgot them, so you're using your brother's or whatever, now mentally you're thrown off the game just because of your equipment not being the exact specific thing that you wanted. So yeah, again, it can go both ways, right? It can help boost your confidence and give you more belief in yourself. But to his point, it's a crutch to some extent if you become too dependent on it mentally even. Maybe it's not doing anything, but by not having it, you're going to suffer because you're so fixated on, oh, I don't have my lucky mitt. I missed that ball. Now I'm going to miss the next one. And it's because I don't have my mitt and I don't have it this whole game. I'm not going to have it. So I'm in big trouble. Hopefully they don't hit it my way again. It's a mental issue maybe, which I do like that idea. And I think in addition to magic, it's kind of part of a uniform, you could say. Like if you're donning the robes for a ritual and you're putting on your magical gown and all of this stuff, in some ways the talisman is an aid to help you get to a specific mental state, or gnosis, for instance. But yeah, you don't want to be dependent, so you can never get to that state unless you have the item, the talisman, the object, because then you're yeah, you're kind of missing the point then, right? Depending on an external force or factor to help you do something.
Yeah, and I feel like even if you don't have like a lucky item, even if you think about the ritual aspect of being a talisman, like I'm thinking like even people who are really hardcore runners have a very specific ritual. Like maybe they eat the exact same thing every morning, or they do certain things in certain steps, right? So if you can't do it in those same exact steps, or you don't have the food that you usually eat, like all of that can mess with you mentally. But I guess what I'm saying is if you build in those changes automatically, then you won't become reliant on them. And I do think that's better for you mentally.
Yeah, like true power is to have everything you need within.
Which is basically what he was saying. He was like, you already have everything you need. Everything else is a tool and it will help amplify, but you don't need it. All you need is yourself and your belief in self.
Okay, so then to go back to the phone example earlier, because I think this is interesting. Even if it's not a talisman, would you not agree that we are very psychically dependent on them though? To the point where, so the other day I was driving around and I forgot my phone at home. And I was like, I had a moment where I was like, oh shoot, should I turn around? Like, I don't have my phone. What if I get into a car crash? What if I run out of gas? What if I get a flat tire? I can't call AAA. You won't know where I am. You can't find my friends. It's like a mental, like you feel naked almost or exposed. Do you know what I'm saying though? Isn't that kind of like a talisman in terms of like how much loss you feel when you don't have it? I guess it's really just calling out my overdependence on my phone, but I think we're all like that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is because the phone's a good example because I'll go on like walks without the phone, or, you know, I don't always know where the phone is within my own house. I always misplace it, but I don't really go outside of the house without it beyond a walk, right? Like I'm not going to get in my car and drive somewhere without it. So yeah, I think it would psychically mess with you. And then you start thinking like, yeah, you just start sort of going worst case fear mongering stories, right? That is like what intrudes on your psyche. And I think that is, yeah, because you're too reliant upon the talisman at that point. So yeah, I mean, and everybody knows we're too reliant on the phone, so.
And that's why it's like the ultimate talisman though, because we view it as so important that you feel naked without it, which is not good, right? I'm not saying that it's a good thing. Like to use the example from Scott Cunningham, it's a tool, but you don't need the tool. And obviously humans don't need phones. They've lived for thousands of years without them. So, you know, it's just kind of an interesting thought of how quickly something can take a stranglehold, I guess, on people as a magical item.
Well, and it's also interesting because when I was looking at talismans, I was seeing a lot of stuff about how there's also architectural talismans. Basically, they embed certain things, either images or objects. So it could be a crystal, or it could just be a sculpture or a frieze of something above a doorway, which then takes on, you know, it's a protective talisman above a doorway, and that has a certain element as well, which I thought was interesting, honestly, especially now that, you know, people are more into, well, not people, like rich people, like who build their own houses. Like you could do some interesting things.
So I guess I'm not sure. Is that a talisman though? Because isn't that just a sigil? Like if I make a logo or something or a symbol, like it's not really a talisman in my mind. Because to me, it's something a bit more tangible and personal rather than just like a thing you look at. It's something you can touch. To me,
you can touch it though. So I mean, it's a thing. It's an object, symbol, or structural feature designed to protect, bless, or bring good fortune to a building and its occupants. So it could be tiles or mosaics, art, sculptures, or friezes, like I said. In Chinese architecture, a wooden threshold or minkan is used to prevent negative spirits from entering the household.
Okay, that's interesting then. So using that example, this is silly, but okay, so Notre Dame, I know the college football team, they have like this sign in the like stairwell when you run out that says play like a champion today, and it's like routine ritual for the players to like slap the sign as you run out. But even in Ted Lasso, he has like the believe sign or whatever that they all hit. It's very simple stuff that you collectively do to like, yeah, we're gonna play like a champion today, we're gonna win, like believe.
Well, and then like my parents are going to Ireland, and there's like that rock that everybody kisses for good luck. I don't know if that that would be considered a talisman, but
The Blarney Stone or whatever. Yeah, that is interesting. Are they going to kiss it?
I don't know. They said they were going to assess, but I mean, it's weird because it's like, it looks like somebody has to like support you because you have to like go upside down in order to kiss it.
Again, this is an example of a talisman applied to sports, which I think is interesting because I remember this story. So I looked it up to verify that I didn't make this up. But there was this guy that was on the Bears at one point, Jordan Howard, who he was an okay running back. He was pretty good. But anyways, he wasn't like a game breaker or anything. And he had a shirt that he wore underneath his uniform, I think maybe starting in high school, college, and pros. And it was the same shirt. And it was something like dedicated to his dad, or his dad gave it to him or something and died when he was like pretty young. And so he would always wear the shirt under the game. But like, again, that's a talisman. I wear this. It's suiting up to your example of the rings. It's it's giving you power or remembrance, or you know, your ancestors are with you, which I just think is kind of cool. And I just remember I liked him as a player, and I remember hearing that story and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like, that's commitment too, because it's cool when somebody has an item like that they continue to wear or keep for that many years.
By that logic, then, you know how Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton wore each other's blood around on that little vial on their necks? Wouldn't that be a talisman?
I don't know what that would be besides weird. That's, I don't know, black magic. I don't know what that is. That just doesn't, I don't know. That seems a bit odd to me.
I find Angelina Jolie to be a very interesting person.
I don't have much to say about Angelina Jolie.
I could talk about her a lot.
I don't really know anything about her, truthfully.
Well, I mean, she was married to Brad Pitt.
I mean, again, that doesn't mean I know anything. Before we close, we do have a weekly wisdom and a fun little story to go along with it.
Sorry, I was sneezing and possibly opening a black hole.
Opening a black hole?
Yeah, like at work, basically, and we were talking about it. I guess because everyone was going on the Artemis 2 mission, and so everyone was obsessed with space. But apparently, it's not a 0% chance that you could open a black hole by sneezing.
Says who? What? A black hole by sneezing?
Theoretically, I guess.
I'm going to need to see the science. See, that's what I'm saying. These scientists, that's just as crazy as a talisman. If you sneeze, you could open. So I could end the world by sneezing.
Maybe we would just enter a new era.
That's interesting. Or maybe every time you sneeze, a new reality is created. So we're now in a different dimension where the Magical Salon podcast is booming and it's #1 on all of the apps. Like, comment, subscribe, favorite, tell your friends, family, teachers, dogs, pets. So before we close out, the weekly wisdom comes from, actually, this is a fun little story. This comes from, so we went to this Ren fair. It was like a pretty large Ren fair, truthfully. And one of the booths, I guess, had a guy that was selling wands and other little like arts and trinkets and stuff. And they're pretty cool. That's partly why I was asking about the wand, if that would be considered a talisman. But on the back of the wand thing, he has this little quote, which is, quote, "A stick is just a stick unless it's a magic stick, and therefore a magic wand." And I just like that quote. And that's by Ebernt Tendegrads. Probably butchered that.
Really rolls off the tongue.
Ebernt Tendegrads, maybe. Anyways, I like the idea though.
Is that the guy's name?
I'm not sure. Maybe. The thing that I thought was cool about it, though, is it's a rock unless it's a magic rock. Then it's a talisman. It's a stick unless it's a magic stick. Then it's a wand.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about how you think of it. It's, for example, I have this stick that I found in the yard that I do use for divination. It's literally just a stick. I didn't buy it anywhere. It's not a special stick. It's just a stick I found and made special.
So it is a special stick, though, to you. And that's why they're cool to me. Anything could be a talisman. Like, you could pick up a rock conceivably and make it a talisman. And that's cool to me.
So yeah, go outside.
Yeah, go touch some grass.
Ask the tree for permission first, and then make a wand.
Yeah. And you know, maybe go to a Ren fair and maybe you can get your own magic stick, which is a wand.
See ya!
Bye! Like, comment, subscribe, favorite.